Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I am honored. This is like the second interview of 2022. And I am honored to interview Presley Tennant, who was on The Voice. And you were on season 16, correct?
Correct.
I did my homework. And I had the honor of sitting down with her the other day and actually us having lunch and meeting and talking to her. And the reason I call this podcast Disrupt Your Brand, and welcome, by the way, is that I'm interviewing people who are doing things differently, going against the grain, who have gone through things, some good, some bad, but where they're going, it's like to empower and inspire people. And you are such an inspiration, seriously. And I know that when we sat down for lunch, you were telling me that originally you were not a country artist, that when you got on Team Kelly and you went to The Voice, that you found yourself and your soul and decided to, go country. What made you go country? And because I fell in love with your song Half as Strong. I mean, with your dad, you were singing about your father, because that song moved me to tears. And it was like, that's the song I have for my dad. Seriously, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for him,
Yeah. No, I started off as a pop singer. And then I felt myself when I was around about to turn 16, I was like, I don't know if this is who I am. I'm not, obviously music is what I love to do, but it didn't feel like pop wise that was exactly where I was supposed to be. I had people around me that were leading me and trying to persuade me to be something that I'm not, and trying to make me grow up quicker than I actually was. And I wanted to take my journey very slow, or not very slow, but I wanted to take it as it's coming. Because I was very young, and I still am. I'm only 19.
I know, when I met you, I told her, I said, I thought she was 27. I mean, seriously, you're so mature. And what you just shared, there might be some musicians watching this, or somebody who is not doing what they really are called to do. Yeah. And I want you guys to be inspired by this, because, she wanted to be was a pop singer and totally changed everything. And it's worked out for you. You just got voted, top country artist of the year and nominated for video of the year, with the video that I shared earlier. And it was like, wow. And so you changed the game completely in the middle of everything. And most people, I want to commend you. Most people are afraid of doing that. They've been doing, let's say, classic rock or pop music for all this time. And they're like, I can't change because this is what I'm known for. But you, at a very young age, you did it. And I want to commend you. That is major disruption. And no, serious, it's a positive thing, so those listening, is that if you're in the middle of a career change, especially with what's going on in the world, if you're in the middle of something, you're like, my heart is telling me to do this, but I've been told to do that, whether it's by your manager or by whomever. You could be a realtor, musician, entrepreneur. You could sit here and say, I can't figure out what I'm doing. I've, maybe lost my job, or with everything that has happened in the world, I've had to pivot and change things. This is someone, guys, 19 years old, who you can learn a huge lesson from. And, please share some more, because I had to say that, because what you're telling us is identifying with what I think a lot of people are going through.
Yeah. And I will say that during that time, it was a little bit scary, because you do have those moments you're like, am I just regressing? Am I starting over from the beginning? And it is scary to think that you're going to start over from the beginning.
It is.
But ultimately, I didn't feel like I was starting over, only because of the fact that I already knew the way that I should be doing things. Every step of the way that I took in pop music, I'm doing the exact same now, just in country music. But I have so much more knowledge, and I know exactly, I'm one step closer to figuring out who I am as an artist, that it made sense for me to do it. I'm from a small town. I'm from Norco, California. Everywhere, everyone rides horses here.
Yes.
Very country lifestyle. And so that's already like my base. That's my home. Like that's my roots. And so I already kind of had like, I already had the fundamentals and like that feeling of like, oh, this is home to me. And so when I went on The Voice, it kind of was just like it was just like a shell shock, like a, oh my gosh, like I'm around people who love what they do. I mean, they absolutely love what they do. Every single type of person who loves every single genre of music, that is what they love to do. They're all there for the same thing. They love and appreciate music as much as I do. And so that kind of like I feel like opened my eyes to be like, okay, like if you're not enjoying every little bit of, I mean, granted, there's going to be hard parts and there's going to be parts that are a little more difficult, but that comes with it. That comes with everything. That's life. But I was like, if I'm not completely happy in what I'm doing, then maybe I should take a little step back and try to find myself again. Because if I'm going to be doing music for the rest of my life, which is my goal and what I love to do, whether I'm performing or I'm writing or I'm in the studio and that sort of thing, I want to make sure that I'm doing something for me, not because someone else likes it and I don't like it, because ultimately I'm the one who has to live with myself at the end of the day. And I have to go home to myself and be like, okay, I like today. I loved what I did today. I love what I'm doing. So that was kind of like my thing. And so as soon as I took that step into country, it was like, it just made perfect sense to me. It felt like all the stars were aligning, and it was the most comforting feeling to know that like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
You know, I have to say something. I mean, you're an amazing talent, but you have a heart of gold. I mean, one of the things that you love to do is to give back. I mean, and whether it's helping other musicians and also, you know, this podcast is really about gratitude. The foundation of my business and my life is gratitude. And I pick people who have a foundation of gratitude. And one of the things that you're also involved with is the foundation, the SOS Foundation, that helps with bullying, cyberbullying. And, you know, I have, you know, this is not about me. I wrote the book Kids for Gratitude for Parents and Educators recently, and it's all about showing kids gratitude. And that is something that you learned at a young age. You were sharing with me on The Voice. I wanted you to share the story, you know, before we came on here, that what you went through on The Voice and what you've gone through, you know, becoming successful. Because I mean, I struggled with the hater online who, they bought my course, they put it on the internet, but they were a hacker, and I sued him and he retaliated. And so, and then all the judgment that comes with being successful and so forth at a very young age. A lot of people are afraid of getting out there in the limelight. Like myself, I'm stepping into a much bigger place right now. And I'm telling on myself, because we're here to be transparent and real, to empower and inspire you guys. Afraid of getting to a much higher level because of being bullied. I mean, I've been bullied, you know, and you shared with me, you have, and I want you to share with us your love for your foundation and how you've, not just the foundation, but how you worked through, you know, the haters and or not haters, but people who have said not so nice things. Because I think that a lot of people out there, you're, no matter what you do, you don't have to be a musician. A lot of people are afraid of getting out there. What if I'm not liked? What if they hate me? What if I sound stupid? What if I this? What if I that? But the thing is, you know, somebody told me once upon a time, pretend you have the cure for cancer. And I said, that sounds really morbid. And they said, you have something to share with the world. And the same with you, your music, you have something to share with the world. So guys, I don't want, you know, we want you to be successful and powerful in 2022 and not to be afraid of doing what you love. Yeah. Because a lot of people have these dreams, but they're not living them. You're living your dream. And I commend you for that, especially at 19 years old. I'm adopting her as my little sister. But, you know, enough of me rambling, but tell me, you know, what we were talking about before we went on.
So I am an ambassador for the SOS Foundation, and SOS stands for Stand Up, Own Up, Speak Up. And ultimately, we are a foundation that was created to help at-risk youth or young adults who are going through different things such as depression, anxiety, peer pressure, bullying, cyberbullying, anything that you can think of along those lines that someone may be struggling with. We are the outlet that they can reach out to in times of need. Especially when they feel like they don't have a voice or that no one wants to listen. We are always there for them because everyone has a voice and everyone has a story to be heard. And so we want to be the reminder that there is a light at the end of this dark tunnel, and that it may take a little bit of time, but they're going to get out of it and it's all going to be okay. We do many incredible things, such as we have auctions, and we're a donation basis only. So we send every $500, we send a child to therapy, which I think is really cool because just talking to somebody can make the biggest difference in the world. And knowing that you aren't alone, that someone is listening to you. All of the ambassadors, we are a peer-to-peer foundation, which means like if you were someone like myself, like you're a 19-year-old girl and you don't feel comfortable talking with an adult or someone in a professional like advice, like that type of thing, you're able to like reach out to any of the ambassadors, and we just want to be there for you. Whether you tell us everything, we just listen, and we're just there for you, just to know that you have moral support behind everything. That's what we are. And so it's like when I was in high school and like when I was on The Voice, I really wish that this was created because of the fact that I would have 100% reached out. I mean, we all have our little things that get us down some days, whether it's really big or really small, or it's something that really has been on your mind, or it just comes up. I feel like we all could have like used something like that. And now it's here. I know I definitely still have my moments and my days where I am down on myself, whether it's trying to appease myself and make sure my standards are up to my own self, if that makes sense. Like I'm a perfectionist. And so if I don't do everything like as perfect as I need it to be, then I get down. But I also realize that I'm human. And so that took me a while to instill in myself. Or whether it's like I feel like I'm being judged by other people. But also at the same time, it's like I've learned to, if you like me, you like me. And if you don't, then I don't really care at this point, because I'm myself and you either love me or hate me, and that's it. That type of thing. Like that's just my mindset from now on. But it took me a while to get there because I was it's not even intrigued. I was just so worried about what other people thought of me in high school. And when I was on The Voice, there were so many incredible people that would respond to like the videos and whatnot. And that was the one thing they said, like the producers, they were like, don't read your comments on YouTube. Like we're telling you not to, don't read them, because there are going to be some mean people. Doesn't matter how good you are. People always are going to have something to say. There is no way, if you're successful, there's still no way that you can appease everybody, because there are so many people with different opinions. And so you just have to take that into consideration. And so when I went on The Voice, it was like, oh, I read the comments, and then like all my friends from school. And then there was like a big thing that happened. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I felt so down on myself. But I also had to realize, and I kind of took it as motivation though. I mean, there were certain ones where I was just like, oh, okay, like, I don't really care what you say. Like it doesn't bother me. But then other ones I tried to take as like constructive criticism, just so I could better myself. It's like, okay, like maybe they are right. Like I won't knock it till I try it. Like I'll just try it their way. If it sounds good, or if I like it, then I'll keep it. But if not, then I'm just going to keep doing my own thing. There's no hurt in trying everything until you find what works for you. And who knows, maybe those things can help motivate you. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling a lot. So sorry.
Yeah. No, actually everything that you are saying is perfect. I mean, this goes not just for people that are young, but people that are older. I've dealt with my haters. I've dealt with, my own inner, after I shared on my interview with Walker Hayes that I was in a car accident a few years ago and I had concussion. And for a writer, that is bad. Like I developed dyslexia all of a sudden and everything, and fear of judgment, fear of going out and speaking. I mean, I got off the internet for a while, and it's like, so what you're saying applies to everyone listening to this. I mean, it's very, very good what you're saying. Now tell me about your song that you just released and the video that you released in 2021 and what is coming up for you, because you are, I don't like the word compared. Some people say, like you and myself, you have competition. I'm like, no, I don't, because I'm talking about something and I'm doing something that nobody else is out there doing, which is gratitude, for instance. And you're out there doing something that nobody else is doing. You have a voice that is compared to Whitney Houston. And, also people are like, you are the next Carrie Underwood. I mean, I look at you as you're already there, because if you have not listened to her, you need to. I mean, you can wail out a tune. I mean, you were telling me when I asked you at lunch the other day, you said that when you were little, I said, what made you go into singing? And you said that you were always loud.
I was just like, yelling. I would yell, but like as soon as like anybody other than my family wasn't there, I was like mute. I was so shy. But
wow.
With my family, I would just yell, and yell.
I mean, when I heard you sing like the Christmas song that you put on, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have this voice that is just, you are Whitney Houston. Seriously. I mean, wow. I mean, and I'm not just saying that. It's like, so share with me what is going on for you in 2022 and, with women of country music, and what your goals and aspirations are, what you have coming up in the pipeline. Because
I will definitely say that I have a bunch of new music coming out. We're looking at an EP coming out within the next couple of months, which I'm super excited about. I can't say too much yet.
Yeah, don't.
But as soon as it's like out in the open, then I will definitely let you know. As well as I have a bunch of shows coming up very soon. I am going to Nashville within the next month or two. Details to be confirmed and be released, to do a show out there. As well as a few shows that I'm doing out in California. I can't say too many details yet.
Yeah.
Just waiting for everything to be finalized, but I'm so excited for everyone to kind of see those, because that is going to be a fun time. But just expect a lot of shows and a lot of new music to be out.
Yeah, you have shared this stage with Tim McGraw, John Michael Montgomery. I mean, you shared with me that when you were younger, even from the Jacksons, took you under their wing. And that's amazing. I mean, you have done so much. In fact, I have to share, do you mind if I share the story about when you called the voice coach?
Oh yeah, you're totally fine.
Okay, so I have to tell you something, guys. I am all about asking. I mean, it's funny, when you're a child, you're very persistent. You can ask for an ice cream cone. You can ask for anything. I mean, you ask to where your parents want to just go, oh, stop asking. And then when we reach adulthood, something happens. We stop asking, and asking is really a form of gratitude. When you ask, you're letting someone give back to you. And the reason I wrote The Power of Asking was because I was raised in my culture, my father's culture, you were to sit there and be pretty, not speak, children were to be seen, not heard. And she was sharing a story with me the other day about that her parents, and this is amazing, let you be very independent, that at 7 years old, she picked up the phone and called a voice coach and asked to be, was it about 7, or do I have the age wrong?
I was either 6 or 7. I know that.
She was 6 or 7.
I
And
just
she calls.
take some vocal lessons, and I told my mom that I wanted to take it, and so she's like, okay, like go find me their number, like, and I'll set it up. And so I found this lady. She was from my area. She had a reliable voice or music lessons company, and so she would either come to our house or I would go to them. And so I was like, okay, cool, they'll come to my house. My mom doesn't even have to drive me, and that's it. So I called her, and then the next day she called my mom back, and she was like, hey, your daughter called yesterday night wanting to take voice lessons. Do you know about this? And my mom was like, yeah, she probably did. It was like those types of things. I was always very persistent, and I wanted what I wanted, but I would put in the work to get there.
Yeah.
That is the way to put it.
Did you ever lose that as you got older? I mean, were you ever afraid, like the more successful you got, like of asking? With myself, I don't have a problem asking. Sometimes I have a problem receiving.
Yeah.
And I'm telling on myself, the whole point, what she just said is don't be afraid to ask. If she had never asked, maybe you wouldn't be the singer you are today. Yeah. Which goes back to why we do this podcast, Disrupt Your Brand, is that you ask. It's a disruption. Most people are afraid of asking, or afraid of asking for help, or, or the money they deserve, or whatever it is. But was there ever a point in your adult life and that you had a problem asking once you got to a certain level in your career, maybe intimidation or whatever?
I would say it was more when I got to high school, because I was homeschooled before. So like my thing was like, I had always lived and learned the way that like, oh, it never hurts to ask, because the worst they're going to say is no. Like,
exactly.
And you continue on with exactly what you're doing before. And so do they. Up until I got into high school. And that's like when I felt a lot of other judgment was being put on me for certain things. And so I learned, or I didn't learn, but like I felt kind of like I went into like this little shell, and I was just on the surface level with everybody. I never really got super close with anyone, just because of like how the surrounding would treat me. And so like I was put in this shell. I mean, people may say otherwise, but I didn't feel like I had too many people in my corner, which was completely fine. But that also led me to not be as outgoing, and I wouldn't ask for things, because I was like, if I want something, I'm going to work for it. I have to put in the work before I get there. Like I can't even, I taught myself almost, and from my parents as well. Like if you want something, you have to put in the work to show that you care how much you want it, for then you can ask the question, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like I don't want to do something like blindly and then hope that, if I ask like, can I do this? Like, would you help me out with this? And they're like, well, what have you done to like prepare yourself?
Yeah.
That is like where my like mental block of asking came from. But then it's like half the time I go through like little moments of time where I'm like, oh, well, all they're going to tell me is no. So I'm just going to go ask them myself. Like I'm going to go be like, all like this and all that type of stuff. But no, it goes in between. Like if I feel like I'm asking and then I don't feel like I am prepared enough to ask, or I feel like, well, all they're going to say is no if it doesn't work out. Like, I'm just going to continue on with my merry self, and they're going to continue on with their merry self, and we'll all just be happy and go on our own ways. That's it.
Well, what's funny is I tell people that most people will say yes because somebody said yes to them. So like you've worked with the Jacksons, that's huge. And the thing is, they obviously saw something and somebody said yes to them. So, guys, a lot of people, and this is the podcast Disrupt Your Brand, a lot of people will say yes to you because somebody did say yes to them. However, if you don't ever ask, think about it. I believe, and tell me if I'm stepping out of bounds, if you had never made that phone call, you might not be where you are today. Like that was the first
100%.
Playing
soccer type of thing.
And this is to inspire whoever is watching this that needs to ask, whether it's in a personal relationship or it's a business or whatever, if you don't make that, first step, even a friend request on social media. I mean, we met on Instagram. Most people are like, well, how have you gotten to this person, this person, this person? And same thing with you, is you've connected to a lot of people on social media, even the women of country and other people, to progress your career, and people have embraced you. And so, this year, guys, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and ask. And, learning, yes, you're 19, but your maturity level is, I work with many, many people, and you are very mature as far as, I'm watching my words right now, more than some 50-year-olds I know. I know I'm probably going to get like nasty comments now.
Everyone's rather like, oh, like you look like you're like 19, but like in like a 40-year-old's body, like this is really weird. Like you have the mentality of like a 40-year-old. And I'm like, yes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, it's an excellent thing. God has, and God has truly blessed you, and you actually share with us, how people can find your single you just released and how they can find you. I know that you're on Instagram quite a bit, and, some of the things coming up in 2022 are hush, hush, of course. And I understand that, but where they can follow you, keep track of what you're doing. And you're such an inspiration.
Well, thank you.
Seriously, you are such an inspiration, not just to musicians, but I pray that somebody watching this, really something that you said, hits them. And I know well, and that's the whole reason I do these podcasts. And somebody said, you're on a country music role, like you're interviewing all these country music artists. I find that country, I work with different genres, but you are very humble, very grateful. One thing I have to say is, where you came from, and you haven't changed. And a lot of people change when they become successful or it goes to their head. And you're so humble, and I love that about you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So your website and on Instagram, or where most people can find what is going on with you?
So my Instagram, Twitter, and I think Instagram and Twitter are both Presley Tennant. So just PresleyTennant. Facebook is Presley Tennant Official. My website is www.presleytennant.com. And then you can find me on all streaming platforms for my music, which is just Presley Tennant.
Yeah, make sure you go and watch her YouTube videos. They are amazing. Especially one last question, the one about your dad. Share how you came about with that song.
So I originally intended to write that song for his 50th birthday. That was not last year, it was in 2020. And I just kind of wanted to write that as like a thank you to him. And I feel like I don't say it enough, and how much I love and appreciate everything that he does for me and my family. He went through the ringer and back. Let's just say that growing up, he did not have a lot. And so it definitely means a lot that he is able to do so much for me and my family. And make sure that he's always the first person to like look out for everybody and take everybody in and not worry about himself. He's always the first person to worry about everyone else. And so I feel like I don't say it enough, and I don't tell him thank you and I love you enough to him. And so I just kind of wrote it for that. I wasn't even intending on releasing it whatsoever. It was just kind of like a little thing for him. And then
how did you come up with the title?
Honestly, my dad is the strongest and the toughest and everything that you can think of that's just brave and all like powerful kind of words. as weird as that sounds, but he is all that. And so if there was any moment in me where I could just be at like half of that, I would be so grateful for, because Lord knows that that man has been through a lot, and he does so much for my family and I. And so I just wish I could be half of that, be a half of what he is.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Sorry guys for the glitch that I just did. I accidentally hit the wrong key and I screenshot something. Oh my God. But anyway, so, you know, I'm sure you're excited about 2022. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's so surreal. It just happened. It's like, you know how you have all these things in your mind and it happens. It like the day goes over and you're like, I'm going to do this and that. And you're like, let me breathe a minute, you know? So
no, it's definitely been, I'm excited for this year though, and what's to come, just because there's so many incredible things and incredible people that I'll be meeting and working with. And I'm just so excited for what's to happen. And I can't wait to share it with everybody.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, we are going to wrap it up because she has other interviews that she has to do, but I am so grateful that you came on Disrupt Your Brand, the podcast, and you're amazing. And so go to PresleyTennant.com, find her on Instagram, follow her. You are already Whitney Houston and Carrie Underwood to me, and you have an amazing voice. So get to know her more.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, it was my pleasure. I mean, I'm just in awe because you taught me stuff, you know, just listening to you is very inspirational and inspiring, and it means a lot to everyone. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.